They thought the thunder from the sky would finish it. They thought the missiles on Christmas Day were the final chapter. They thought that once the jets screamed over Sokoto, once the camps were hit, once the world saw America step in, the Lakurawa threat would finally be crushed. But today, the people of Gudu local government are learning a painful, terrifying truth. Coalition, you can bomb a forest. Coalition, you can destroy tents and hideouts. Coalition, but you cannot bomb an idea that has already rooted itself inside desperate, angry minds. And now, that idea has struck back, not at soldiers, not at aircraft, but at innocent traders trying to survive another hard market day. This is not just another attack. This is a message. And it is loud, brutal, and impossible to ignore. Early this morning, Thursday, January 8, 2026, reports began pouring in from border communities in Gudu LGA. At first, people thought it was the usual gunshots in the distance, the kind residents have sadly learned to live with. But this time, it was different. Gunmen suspected to be members of the Lakurawa group didn't just pass through villages. They didn't ambush a patrol. They didn't hide in the bush. They stormed straight into the Darusa market. Let that sink in. A market. A place of food, bargaining, laughter, survival. A place where mothers buy pepper and rice. Where young boys push wheelbarrows. Where old men sit and change currency. They open fire. Not to steal. Not to kidnap. But to terrorize. Eyewitnesses say panic exploded like a bomb. People ran in all directions. Stores were abandoned. Goods scattered. Some fell while trying to escape. And in the middle of that chaos, one man didn't make it out alive. His name was Alhaji Ummaru. If you're from that area, you already know who he was. A respected currency exchanger. A familiar face in the market. Someone people trusted with their money. Someone who helped travelers change cash, helped traders complete deals, helped families send funds. He was not armed. He was not part of any conflict. He was not a politician. He was not a soldier. He was working. And in seconds, his life was taken. People who knew him say the shock is still hanging over the market like dark smoke. His death has shaken traders, transporters, even nearby villages. Because now everyone is asking the same question. Backhand index pointing right if they can walk into a busy market and kill someone in broad daylight, who is safe anymore? And this is where the story turns even more disturbing. Because just 2 weeks ago, the world heard something we rarely hear in Nigerian security news. On December 25, 2025, Christmas Day, the United States, under orders from President Donald Trump, carried out airstrikes in Sokoto State. Yes. Foreign jets. On Nigerian soil. The targets. What were described as terrorist enclaves linked to ISIS-affiliated groups, including camps believed to belong to the Lakurawa faction, especially around Tangaza and Gudu areas. The Nigerian government confirmed cooperation. Officials said it was part of international counterterrorism efforts. Security sources described it as a major breakthrough. People hoped, maybe this is the turning point. Maybe this finally weakens them. Maybe villages will breathe again. But now, less than 2 weeks later. Coalition, the same region is burning. Coalition, the same group is striking. Coalition, and civilians are the ones paying the price. So what does this attack really mean? Security analysts are already calling this what it looks like. A retaliation. A show of survival. A declaration that they are still standing. This wasn't random. This wasn't coincidence. By hitting a public market, the message is clear. You can bomb our camps, but you cannot stop us from touching your people. That is psychological warfare. That is intimidation. That is how insurgent movements spread fear faster than bullets. And it tells us something very uncomfortable. Airstrikes may damage infrastructure. But they do not dismantle networks. They do not erase recruitment pipelines. They do not erase radical ideology. Let's be honest with ourselves. This is no longer simple cattle rustling or village raiding. The Lakurawa group is showing signs of organized extremist structure. They enforce strict rules in communities. They punish those who disobey. They preach radical beliefs. They recruit youth. They coordinate across borders. This is starting to look dangerously similar to how Boko Haram evolved years ago, slow, underestimated, dismissed, until it became a monster no one could easily contain. And that is why this moment matters. Because history is whispering warnings, and we've ignored whispers before. Right now in Gudu and Tangaza, people are not debating geopolitics. They are asking survival questions. Question mark: if America bombed them and they are still attacking us, who will protect us? Question mark: if the skies are not stopping them, what will? Question mark: are we next? Local vigilantes are outgunned. Police units are stretched thin. Soldiers face enemies who vanish into forests, villages, and cross-border routes. And when armed groups hide among civilians, every airstrike becomes a double-edged sword, because it may weaken fighters but strengthen their anger, their revenge, and their willingness to punish communities they believed supported the attacks. So now we must confront the uncomfortable debate. Is foreign military intervention actually helping? Or is it escalating the danger for civilians? Does it weaken terrorists? Or does it provoke them into deadlier retaliation? Because once foreign powers get involved, conflicts rarely become smaller. They become louder, more complex, more political, more brutal. And in the middle of all that, it is not generals who suffer first. It is traders, farmers, drivers, mothers, children. People like Alhaji. There is an old saying: when elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers. Right now, Sokoto's villages are the grass. Superpowers make decisions. Terror groups respond with violence. Governments exchange statements. But the market woman, the currency changer, the food seller, they bury their dead. Here's the part that should worry everyone. This attack suggests that the conflict in the Northwest is entering a new, more dangerous phase. Not just rural raids. Not just forest hideouts. But symbolic public attacks designed to prove relevance, survival, and power. And that is usually how insurgencies escalate. Not fade. So I want to ask you directly, no filters, no fear. Do you support foreign airstrikes on Nigerian soil if it means hitting terrorists but risking civilian backlash? Or do you believe the solution must be primarily Nigerian, stronger intelligence, community protection, border control, economic intervention, and de-radicalization? Because bombing alone has never ended an ideology. Not in the Middle East. Not in Afghanistan. Not in West Africa. Drop your honest thoughts in the comments. This is a conversation Nigeria cannot afford to avoid anymore. Before we move on to the next headline. Before another attack replaces this one in the news cycle. Remember the name. Alhaji Ummaru. Not a statistic. Not collateral. A human being whose life mattered. And he represents thousands of others living under the shadow of violence, praying every day that the next gunshot is not meant for them. Make no mistake, the Lakurawa threat is real, organized, and evolving. Airstrikes have not silenced them. And today's market attack proves that civilians remain the primary targets. This war is no longer distant. It is not just in forest. It is walking into marketplaces. And that should alarm every single one of us. If this update helped you understand what is really happening beyond the headlines, share this story. Let people know this is not over, it is escalating. And if you want to keep getting clear, no-nonsense breakdowns of what's happening in our country and beyond, stay connected. Because these stories are not going away, and neither are we.